China, the most talked about country in the world right now.
China.
The China economy collapsing.
Well, we are on the verge of China invading Taiwan.
Whether it's the ghost cities, the impending demise of their economic miracle, or the potential war over Taiwan, I couldn't help but get the feeling through the conversations with the Chinese people that I knew that the media haven't really been showing us the truth about China's intentions, how developed the country was, and more than anything, the nature of the people. So I finally bit the bullet and bought a flight to China for 2 weeks so that I could see it for myself. And through people like Michael, Toya, Evan, or just random nice people on the street, I plan to make my way across the country to see what it was all about and share it with you all. We started off the trip in Guangzhou, a lovely city in the south of China, famous for the dim sum and the laid-back people.
These top tier cities are huge, but the contrast between each part of the city is massive. You've got like an area that's quite poor, walk 10, 15 minutes and you've got an area that's completely different.
And by lucky coincidence, a peculiar doorway led to something I was meaning to try while I was in China.
This flower tea, yes, have a fruit. This fruit apple.
So this has apple, yeah? It's really sweet, really tasty, and each tea is like good for a different part of the body.
So after curing ourselves with tea, we found ourselves in an arcade. And it turns out they're a little different in China.
Kids playing here, they're like playing a particular style of game and they're all dressed in a similar way, you know? And you have the girls that like dress up to do the dancing. It's like living in a video game where everybody, or like a cartoon, where everyone has their style and they play their style of game.
And after seeing one guy absolutely destroy this game, it was time to leave some people to sleep and head to the train station for our next stop, Shenzhen.
For those of you who've never seen a Chinese high-speed railway station before, it's full of very comfy massage chairs.
Whereas in most countries, train stations all look a bit different, in China, they all seem to follow the same format, which makes them easier to navigate when you're running late and rushing to catch a train.
One of the weirdest things about Chinese train stations is you're allowed to smoke. At least we've seen like lots of people smoking and it doesn't seem to be a problem. So this addict here is getting his fill just before our train ride.
Taking the train, you really get to appreciate the beautiful landscapes across the country. And while if you're going from one side of the country to the other, you might want to fly, in most cases the high-speed train is more than fast enough and costs about the same. With a quick stop in Shenzhen to see the street aerobics and observe the e-bikes crossing the pedestrian bridges. In fact, in China, e-bikes kind of just go everywhere, which probably was the hardest thing to get used to. Yeah, Chinese people just love cats. We saw these cat stores everywhere where cats are getting pampered and I know you can just see them sleeping. But it was time to jump on the metro and head to Damesha Beach. One thing we noticed was the metros are incredibly clean and also very cheap, with the average ticket costing around 50 to 70 cents.
It's just crazy, different world being on a beach in China. It seems like not that many people in China know how to swim comfortably. So you can see these two guys behind us carrying these like inflatable rings, something you wouldn't see in Europe necessarily or in other parts of the world. But it's so different, so cool, and brilliant views. You can see the little islands in the background.
And while we were having a great time, I was really looking forward to this next part of the trip. Evan was going to join us for Zhangjiajie onwards, and having a local with us didn't disappoint.
This is probably the most insane chairlift you can find in the world. Just in case you have to jump.
Don't jump.
Yeah, it says don't jump, so that's a great advice there from the sign.
The thing that will surprise you about China is just the scale of everything. Nature here really just does take it to the next level. A word of warning, this is not for the faint-hearted, but if you're happy dangling on a cliff face, then there's some views as a reward. And keen to catch the famous theatre in the mountains, we rushed down the steepest staircase imaginable and just about caught the show. The next morning, our breakfast arrived, and it turns out that having a robot deliver your breakfast is pretty cool. The great thing about the hotel that Evan had chosen was that the chef was cooking food all local to the region.
And this chicken is local, just in farm. not factory. Just like KFC, right? The chicken always from the factory.
From the factory, yeah. Not from local farms.
Now this bridge you might actually recognize because it's the tallest glass bridge in the world. You can see there were people playing around, and we also did our own thing.
Spain, España. You know, like bull. You know, like ole. Yeah, you know Spain. Yeah, nice to meet you. Thank you for the translation.
Yeah, thank you. Evan, stand there.
You can see how high the zipline was across the valley, and to be honest, I was a little bit nervous. Mostly because the weight limit was supposed to be 70 kilos, and I'm 80 kilos, but we didn't say anything, and in the end it all worked out fine. But the zipline wasn't the only way you had to get down, so after putting on some freaky trousers and some last minute instructions, it was time to head down the slide. And included with the access to the park was the boat ride back, which wasn't the biggest adrenaline pump, but actually a really nice way of rounding off the day and heading back to the hotel.
This is our dinner for this evening.
Right behind me is the Bai Long lift that goes completely up this cliff face. And when you're here and you see some of the infrastructure in Zhangjiajie, you realize like only the Chinese would attempt some of these infrastructure projects. I mean, it's completely crazy. The terrain here is just so unforgiving for engineering.
Are we going to take the lift now?
Now,
All right.
if you want to
Go down?
and you need to pay more. Yeah.
So the hero, Evan, he's just told me that when we're in the lift, one of the difficult things is to get a good view. So we're going to try and get as close to the glass as possible. And he's going to help us out a little bit. So we'll see if this works. But the idea is to be as close to the glass as we can so that we don't get a reflection and we get a great view. Okay. So, all right. Bit like yesterday. Don't look down.
It had started raining again, but luckily you can find these kind of rain mats everywhere, and they cost about 20 yuan.
Evan said that these are really good to try, so we're going to try them. This lovely lady's sorting us out with some food. Great.
We found this little stand of people making a traditional cereal, and wanting to make a bit of fun of ourselves being foreigners, we gave it a go.
The nicest thing about Zhangjiajie is just how pristine the nature is, while at the same time being completely accessible and just getting around the place is so easy. And you can see monkeys in the trees, you can see the birds, the butterflies flying around, and it just feels like you're walking through like an Amazon rainforest experience.
Hello.
Yeah, he threatened you.
It turns out it's best not to bother a monkey when he's eating his crisps. But after a final amazing meal cooked by the hotel chef, it was time to say goodbye to this amazing area and head to Changsha.
So basically, Changsha means to kill. To kill, yeah? Changsha means to kill, okay. So Kill People City, and we're getting there at 190 kilometers an hour. This is the slow one. Yeah.
One of the coolest things was just hanging around with Evan and seeing what Chinese people now think is normal.
So our hotel, we can't see now.
Yeah, because in the car.
Okay.
Now, this part of the trip was arguably the most luxurious, And the interesting thing about China is if you really want to stay in luxury, it's so much more affordable than in the West. This hotel in particular cost $150 per night. And for a 5-star hotel on the 93rd floor, it's just so much more affordable than what you'd expect.
Native Chinese man. They all know how to do it. It's all so new. New. Yeah, like, I mean, how long has this been here? 10 years? 15? But I mean, this side is...
Ahora sí que venden paraguas.
Yeah. Yeah, we couldn't find umbrellas in Guangzhou, but here there's a guy standing in the center square selling them. So we left ours back at the hotel. Maybe we can get some on the cheap if it starts to rain more, but if not, we'll just power through. As an avid investor in Chinese EVs, we're going to pop into the Zeekr store. We've seen a lot of them around China. A few more than I expected, actually, because it's a fairly new car brand. It's growing really fast. So Lotus is an old British car company, if I'm not mistaken, but they've partnered up with Geely. Hello. Can we see inside the car? Yeah. Is that all right? Yeah. Cool. Oh, that's pretty nice.
Hey, Nomi.
我在。
开启全车，座椅按摩通风。
All right.
It's a massage here.
Yeah. How
You can-
awful are these Chinese cars, eh?
Can you have the massage
quality.
while you are driving?
Driving and massage is good.
And together, yeah.
Together.
Yeah,
Okay.
together.
All right.
Wow.
All right. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you very
Thank you so much.
谢谢。
谢谢。
我们一起加店吧，开心。
We also got to see the Xiaomi EV, and it's just a reminder that the number of new cars coming out of China today is insane. It's one of the coolest things about being on the street there.
There's a robot cleaner. He's telling us that we're being wimps for not having spicy food. So, but we had a rough day the first day in Zhangjiajie. Our first day in Hunan province, we went hard with spicy food. Famous for the crayfish, so we're going to give it a go. It looks great and it's super busy. If anywhere in the world you find a really busy restaurant like this, it's got to be good. This beef barbecue skewer is insane. The ladies here kindly told us what dish they'd ordered. And we've ordered the same because it looks great. Like, Evan is such a beast. He's like putting his hand right into this. It is so hot, you can't believe. I mean, I'm going to try and do it like him. He's an animal. I mean, really.
After using this incredibly effective stain remover and seeing how many awards this restaurant had won, it was time for a quick nap. And then on to our next stop, which was Evan's hometown, Hangzhou. On the trains in China, you can actually order food along the route from restaurants and they'll run it to the train station and deliver it to you in your seat.
These are the different stops, right?
Yeah, we stop this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
we eat KFC.
And a little woman ran to the train and delivered to us. It was radical. It was just crazy to see how integrated the technological apps are with the infrastructure.
Evan's struggling a little bit with his feet, so I'm all bagged up. We're just walking into a lovely restaurant that Evan knows of. So he's a local here, keen to try some beef, some Hangzhou beef.
The food in Hangzhou and Shanghai is much less spicy than food in other areas. So after finishing our more Western style meal, we hit the karaoke, which is a Chinese tradition. And then the next day went out onto the West Lake.
Okay.
But we didn't have much time because we were heading to Shanghai. As it was the weekend, we wanted to see what the nightlife in Shanghai was like. So a quick 1-hour train and we were there.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
It's
so
okay.
This guy really helped us out. I'm making video of the trip, so the fact that, I mean, you came to us and really helped us, so it was really awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. So your milk tea place, is it going to be around here?
Yeah. Just I think it's nearby. It's here.
Okay, Perfect.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, this is the place.
Yeah,
So,
this is the place, the Nangshan.
Yeah.
You know, very interesting Nangshan.
This little clip kind of sums up what it's like walking around in China, seeing a Rolls Royce and then a brand new EV you've never seen before. It's just kind of cool. You couldn't expect to see anything just walking around in the street.
With our new Chinese friends. And so we've got some traditional Shanghai food. Some xiaolongbao.
My advice whenever you're traveling with locals is always let them choose the menu. They asked us what we'd like to eat and we said it's totally up to them. We wanted to see something different. And yeah, we got to see some really interesting dishes in the restaurant.
Wow.
And then we jumped in a taxi and headed to the Bund.
Nature in Zhangjiajie was really special, and I'd have to say nothing was going to beat it on the trip. But coming here and seeing how beautiful a city can be and how clean everything is. I mean, it's just, everyone's so nice. We asked some guys to take a photo of us and we had a little joke like, WeChat or Alipay, which one do you want? And he was just laughing with us. The people are so nice. I mean, I think I'm going to have to come to China at some point to live here. And who knows, maybe it'll just be in a few months. This place is just so special. Andrew in the group, he's really running the show now and taking us to different places. It's just really awesome to be able to glide through China to the best places and, you know, make it as smooth as possible with getting taxis, where we're going, talking to people.
So just like the restaurant, there was no holding back. And we ended up in this 7-story shopping center style nightclub. Different floors with different themes, different areas, had different rules, free drinks, everything included. And it all cost just $35 for the whole night. Somehow we managed to get back to Hangzhou on a 7 o'clock train. And after waking up in the early evening, Evan invited us to see his neighborhood, which had this crazy facial scan for him to get into his residential area. And after a quick run around, Evan was keen for us to try the local Chinese massage.
And you said we get to choose the massage worker.
I don't know.
咒怨
How to say I like it?
我喜欢.
Throughout my time getting to know Evan, I'd learned that he was a massive mahjong player. So he ended up taking us to an underground mahjong game, which was based in this dark, seemingly abandoned building.
That's why you say he's lucky.
就剩4张了。
你们
不能做挺好的。
how much money that is?
我这安哥爆了。
Evan, what happened? What happened?
It's he don't.
And after watching a few rounds, it was time to leave them to get on with their game and for us to get some sleep.
I'm just taking a taxi to meet a student of mine who I've been teaching for a while. And the taxi driver is so nice. He's from Guizhou. And he's recommending that I go to see his home city where there's a Miao tribe. He said it's beautiful and great to see. And what's so nice is like I'm alone in the taxi, and so he's asking me lots of questions and we're using a translator to talk to each other. It's so nice here that the people are so humble and so friendly.
And after meeting up with Michael, it was time to meet back up with Pedro and Evan, who told me they were in an interesting place.
They are in this fancy spa. It's like a spa, except it's a bit different. You have free food, chill, watch movies. You can also game. There's also swimming pools, naked swimming. I'm not sure we're going to do that, but maybe, who knows? This is the entrance. And here's Evan waiting for us.
It's a lot like being a lazy teenager, where you sit there, game, have people wait on you hand and foot, clear up after you, and these kind of centres can be found all over China. We had some great dinner as usual at another local restaurant that Evan knew. The only strange thing I find about Chinese food culture is the way that they can eat sweet things along with everything else, but it's more of a Hangzhou or Shanghai thing.
It's so cool.
So after a long taxi and a lovely meal with another student of mine, Toya, I arranged to meet back up with Cindy and Andrew, who wanted to show me a special part of Shanghai. And given that it was Mid-Autumn Festival, there were certain parts of the city that were going to look even more spectacular than usual.
Andrew's guiding us around today, so I think architecture here is, Andrew was saying, like, it's the most Chinese place you can find in Shanghai. And you can see, wow.
This part of Shanghai is called Yu Garden, and you can see a lot of people taking photos in the background. And that's not just because it's a beautiful part of Shanghai. As it was a full moon festival, everybody was trying to get a good shot of the moon. I also wanted to show that some people in China wear lenses, and these two in particular were wearing lenses that were a bit more extravagant than usual.
Here, there's an interesting crowd control technique. There's these like weird noises you can hear in the background, and they're holding a stick to make this kind of uncomfortable noise to encourage people to move on through. So a bit weird. I mean, it's, I suppose, a little bit animalistic in a way, but it makes total sense because there's so many people here. And
but instead of this being the last day I would spend in China, it turned out that curiosity got the better of me, and I ended up having to go back.
For those of you who've experienced it, seeing the country with locals, it's a completely different experience. Getting to see a country from the inside, connect with the culture. So as part of the channel, what I want to do is help you guys experience the same thing in China that I get to experience. And whether it's like just planning the trip, helping you organize like your visa, your transport, logistical challenges. I mean, given that China, all the apps are in Chinese, getting a taxi, you know, Didi and so on, that's just like the basics. When it comes to like getting around, if you want to ever explore a bit more than Beijing or Shanghai, there's not a lot of tourism focused to international people. So exploring China is a new thing, and we want to help you guys do it. So whether it is just trip planning and helping you with the logistics, or if you'd like to have a friend of mine go with you and get the full experience, real immersive feel, being in China, connecting with everybody and seeing a bit more, then we can do that as well. And I have to say, I've done a lot of traveling in my time with people, local people. Luckily, you know, I grew up going to different countries and having different friends from different countries. But China is just completely different kettle of fish, different world with the internet, phones, how your internet's going to work, and SIM card problems. But if you can get it right and you can do it smoothly, it's probably going to be the best experience of your life. So with that said, I'll see you in the next video. Check out my Instagram in the description and let me know if you guys are thinking about joining us in China and seeing some of this crazy scenery.